Final week of the college baseball regular season, and South Carolina is coming off a disappointing week, losing 2 of 3 in Arkansas, and they also lost a midweek game to North Florida. Collyn, the obvious is you need a win. You want to win. What are you looking for out of South Carolina this week, though?
Yeah, I think I understand the frustration because you went into Sunday needing a win to get the series. You had a chance to, and you just kind of put up a dud offensively, especially. And I did see progress against Arkansas. They pitched probably the best they've maybe pitched all year. It's a hard place to win. And I did the math. Arkansas, since 2017, in home SEC series, Arkansas is 71-19. So that's 6 years worth of data. Arkansas is really good at home. It's hard to win there. If you're South Carolina, you obviously wanted to win the series, but losing 2 out of 3, taking one game and pitching really well, there's some solace in that. You saw some progress. But now with it, that's 3 straight series losses. And you're starting to, you went from a surefire national seed to now you have to win some games down the stretch to host. And you have 4 games at home this week. You've been really good at home all year. Now it's about finishing strong. If you get a 4-0 week, gets you a host, no problem. You're a top 16. That puts you at 41 wins. That puts you at 18 SEC wins. If you do that, then you're solidifying a host. If you take 2 out of 3 from Tennessee, regardless of what you do against Charlotte, now you want to win against Charlotte, but you have a chance to, host. I think if they take the series against Tennessee and get to 17 SEC wins, they're in a very, very good spot to host. Anything less than that, it's dicey, and you're going into the SEC tournament probably needing to win a game or 2 to feel good about your chances to host. You're going to have the metrics to do it. Your RPI is going to be good enough. Your strength of schedule is going to be good enough. It's just then about, do you have the wins? Do you have the overall wins? And 40 is a huge number. Mm-hmm. But do you have the SEC wins? The average win total of an SEC host that's seeded 9 through 16, so not a national seed, over the last 9 tournaments is just over 17 wins. So if you're South Carolina, you got to get to that 17 number. Your metrics are going to be good enough, but you got to go in there and take 2 of 3. And the good news for South Carolina is Tennessee's not been great on the road. South Carolina's been really good at home. So you hope that helps propel you to taking 2 out of 3 over Tennessee, and really maybe putting the final, feather in your cap for a top 16 seed.
And not to be negative, Nancy, but let's just be honest here. I mean, you talk about how good they have been at home this season, 25-4. The unfortunate reality of that, though, is in their last 4 games, they are 1-3 at home. But yes, they are at home, a place that they've had success. What do you think will be the difference this week if they are able to turn things around? And I mean, shoot, I don't know if you have a number in your head, Collyn. And I know you mentioned that 40 mark, which would mean they would have to get to 3 wins. I'm looking at being able to go at least 3-1 this week. Are you looking at that as well?
Yeah, 3-1 should solidify you as a top 16. I think, again, that puts you at 17 SEC wins. You're going to be top half of the conference, and that gives you a fighting chance. That puts you metrics-wise and record-wise in a chance to host. So if you go 3-1, no issues, because that gives you, you're there. 2-2, a little bit different. I still think 2-2 gets you there. 1-3 or 0-4, and you're fighting an uphill battle going into Hoover to try to host. And if they go 3-1 or 4-0 and win a few games down in Hoover and bolster that resume even more, they have an even better shot at inching back towards a top 8 seed. But priority number 1 is to take the series over Tennessee and find a way to win against Charlotte.
I don't want to waste too much time talking about what took place last weekend, because at the end of the day, it is what it is, right? You lost 3 of 4 last week. You lost 2 of 3 in Arkansas. We all understand what took place. They fell in the rankings because of it. Is there anything, especially in Arkansas, that you saw that made you say, okay, I feel a little bit better about this, right? You're trying to find the good in the bad. Is there anything that makes you feel like as we head into this final week of the regular season, it's like, all right, I'm glad we got to see this a little bit?
Yeah, the pitching, first and foremost. That had really struggled over the last 10 games, and you got great starting pitching, especially from Jack Mahoney, but Eli Jones looked the part. Matthew Becker pitched really well, pitched well enough to win. Jack Mahoney threw an absolute gem. You got decent bullpen pitching as well. So that really looked good. Defense was pretty solid as well. So made some great plays on Saturday. And then you're getting healthy offensively. And as Braylon Wimmer gets his timing back, as maybe Will McGillis gets back in the lineup against Charlotte on Tuesday, and then DHs or plays in left on this weekend against Tennessee, you feel better about the identity of this offense the way it was through the first 40 games of the season versus the last 11. So there's some progress being made. You looked like you belonged on the field with Arkansas, which is not something you could have said against Auburn and Kentucky. Those were relatively non-competitive when you lost. So there was some progress made. It's not a done thing yet. South Carolina still needs to kind of figure some things out and right the ship. But I did see a few signs of growth and some positive things going into the final week of the regular season.
Pitching and injuries. Those are the two things that we've been talking about, it feels like, for the last month. That South Carolina has really struggled at. And, of course, with injuries, you can't control those things. But where is USC at right now on the injury front? I know that as we tape this on Tuesday, there could be some last-minute changes that always occur when you're talking about baseball and lineups. But big picture of it all, how healthy are they at this point as we head into this final stretch?
Yeah, Braylon Wimmer and Talmadge LeCroy are back in the lineup, which is good. Now it's just about if you can get Braylon Wimmer back in the field, that's even better. LeCroy's played third all weekend against Arkansas. Will McGillis, Mark Kingston told Sports Talk Monday night, he anticipates McGillis being in the lineup against Charlotte. So from a position player standpoint, they're in a really good spot because they're slowly getting guys back. And then it's just about developing timing, getting strength back, doing all the stuff that you don't get rehab assignments. You can't go play intramural baseball at the Strom and get a rehab assignment in if you're Braylon Wimmer, Talmadge LeCroy, or Will McGillis. You just got to go out there and do it. So getting timing back's priority number one for them, but the offense slowly but surely is getting back to where it was health-wise and at full capacity. Now, I mean, Noah Hall, the longer this goes, the less I think he'll pitch the rest of the season. Will Sanders still TBD. I wouldn't hold my breath on him pitching this weekend against Tennessee, but you never know. So as soon as the offense gets healthy, the pitching staff gets a blow with Will Sanders not being able to go. But the pitching has looked solid, especially against Arkansas. So slowly but surely getting back to healthy, but still not all the way there.
These midweek games, I remember for a portion of the season, beginning of the season, it felt like we just looked at them as like, hey, USC's finally figured it out. They've been able to figure out these midweek worries that they've had in the past. Those woes are gone, and they've hit a little bit of a funk. And one of the teams that they've already lost to this season, and I know it was up in Charlotte at a ballpark that just feels like is cursed to them, and maybe that stadium across the street other than the Duke's Mayo Bowl. But you have to play that team tonight. So it's not like you're playing some cupcake team. Being able to play Charlotte tonight, what do you expect from USC? Because, again, yes, huge weekend, but I'm sure this isn't a game that they're going to go into and be like, all right, we're just trying to worry about the weekend. I could be wrong about that, but what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the weekend's the priority, first and foremost, obviously. You're not going to burn some of your go-to guys out of the pen for a midweek win over Charlotte. But this is kind of a get-right game for South Carolina offensively. You want to see guys putting good swings on ball, hitting for power, which they have not done over their last 10 games, hitting for some power, getting guys feeling good, getting the mojo back, and they can have a solid offensive showing. It might give them some confidence going into Tennessee, and Tennessee has one of the best pitching staffs in the SEC right now. So just need to get some of that confidence going, and the offense is the thing that everyone's going to be paying attention to tonight because it's been the bugaboo for the last 3 or 4 years, it feels like, for South Carolina.
Last question for you, Collyn. 40 wins. What would 40 wins at the end of the regular season mean for South Carolina if they're able to get to that mark at the end of this week?
It means we're covering a regional in June at South Carolina is what it means, more than likely. And it would be the first time since 2016 they've hit the 40-win mark. So it would be a massive accomplishment for this team, and something that a lot of fans and this program expects to have is 40 wins. So would be a step in the right direction after what was obviously a really tough 2022.
The Gamecocks dropped to number 13 in the national rankings, but they are at home tonight taking on Charlotte. First pitch is at 7, and you can catch that game on the SEC Network Plus. Collyn Taylor and the crew, they'll be covering it, so make sure you follow along on GamecockCentral.com. He's Collyn Taylor. I'm Mike Uva. You guys have been watching Extra Innings. We'll do it again next week to recap the week that was and look ahead to the SEC tournament.